Many women, as we enter perimenopause and menopause, myself included, are simply unaware of the importance of adrenal health. So today we're going to talk about how you can recognize the signs of adrenal fatigue and, more importantly, how to optimize our adrenal health. Hi, I'm Shirley and welcome to MPowered. I am the founder of Menopause Chicks, and we love to jump on this channel so that you can be empowered to navigate your midlife health. We are cracking open the conversations that are most important to women in midlife. Today, I'm pleased to welcome my guest, Cathy McCann. Hi, Cathy.
Hi.
Cathy is a nutrition therapy practitioner and certified life coach. She's also a member of the women's health professionals on our Menopause Chicks community, where she is working with women to get informed and help them choose the journey that's right for them. So, Cathy, if it's okay with you, let's dive in. This is a very important topic. Please tell us, what is adrenal fatigue?
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. So adrenal fatigue is actually really a series of glands. It's the hypothalamic, the pituitary, and the adrenal that we call the HPA axis. So it's really not just the adrenal gland.
Right.
But, and so what happens is this is activated as part of the stress response system. And it's very important to us in the short term, but it can be very damaging in the long term. And so the body is designed so that when the stress response system is activated, certain hormones and neurotransmitters are released, so cortisol and epinephrine. And the reason for this is because it's designed to protect us from physical harm. So, if you're being chased by a lion in the bush, it's going to shut down unnecessary bodily functions like digestion, sends all of your energy to your muscles, releases the adrenaline, and you go into fight or flight mode. The problem is that most of us are in a constant state of fight or flight. That's because our bodies don't know.
Guilty.
Raising your hand. Because our bodies can't tell the difference between real physical threat stress and perceived stress.
Okay.
So our bodies treat sitting in traffic, a fight with your spouse, money concerns, your body treats that all the same. To it's all the same. And so after so many years of this perceived stress, your stress response system chronically engaged, what happens is we literally wear out our adrenal gland. And when that happens, there you get into dysregulation. One thing that can happen is that, for instance, it releases cortisol at the wrong time. So we should have higher cortisol in the morning and lower at night, but that can get dysregulated, and then we run into having problems with sleep.
Right. Which is often one of the first signs that perimenopausal women will, complain about, right? It's like, oh, I can't sleep anymore. I used to be a great sleeper.
Yes, exactly. So, and then, with perimenopausal and menopausal women, how this really comes into play is that the adrenal gland also releases a small amount of sex hormones, of estrogen and progesterone. And what it's meant to do is when your ovaries stop producing those hormones, the adrenal gland is meant to continue producing them to kind of ease you through menopause. And
Right.
that's its function. But if your adrenals get worn out because of all the chronic stress and the HPA axis dysfunction, then it's not producing those hormones. And so you just bam hard into menopause, right? And then it exacerbates all of those symptoms, the insomnia, the stress, the blood sugar imbalances,
Right.
the sex drive, all of these things are just exacerbated because you have zero of the sex hormones.
Wow. So how come nobody is talking about this?
It's kind of funny because we do talk about a little bit. You hear about adrenal fatigue, but I don't see a lot of people putting the pieces together, correlating it to menopause and perimenopause.
Yes.
And it's really, really important to women to know about this, because there are some things you're going to do a little bit differently in treating, your menopause systems if you're having this trouble with your HPA axis.
I threw that one in there. I know it's a bigger conversation and we weren't planning to have it, but I mean, seriously, if we could get this messaging to all the 35 and 40-year-old women in the world so that they don't wake up on their 48th or 49th birthday with, adrenal fatigue and all of those awful experiences that you just described. Wow.
Absolutely. It can really make the process a lot smoother if you have that little bit of the hormones going in, if your body is functioning the way it's supposed to. You're not supposed to get hit this hard by menopause.
Right. Exactly. It's a natural process, intended to be a natural process.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm curious about, we talked about some of the things that can trigger adrenal fatigue. What if we did like a little case study? Like, what if there's a woman listening to this right now, and let's say she's 41 and has 2 kids, and she's probably working full time, no doubt, taking care of a lot of the things at home, maybe looking after an aging parent or aging parents, and she listens to this video and really wants to hold up the stop sign and maybe reverse things. What can she do?
Oh, there's a lot of things. So the number one thing I tell everybody is you've got to manage your stress. Okay. I know that's easier said than done, but there are a lot of things that you can do that can kind of help to calm down your stress response system. And it's going to be individual for everybody, right? So
do you mean coffee and wine?
Coffee and wine are on my really cut back list.
Because I know a lot of midlife women who, that when you say manage stress, I mean, again,
yeah, and that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing.
Okay, tell us what we should be doing then.
Caffeine exacerbates the problem, and wine does as well.
Okay.
And believe me, those are my 2 vices, so I get it. But until you get your HPA axis back working properly, you're going to want to cut down on those things.
What can we do instead?
So the things you can do, I mean, first of all, we need stress management, right? So whatever works for you, whether it's meditation or yoga or some other form of exercise, human connection is like super important. Hanging out with friends, family, touch, hugging, sex, whatever it is, getting that human connection, nature.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a little nature and outdoors. I also tell women, honestly, play is super important.
Joy, yes.
We get so bogged down in all these have-tos, everything that we have to do. We have to take, the kids and maybe the parents and the job, but not everything you do has to have this really important purpose. I mean, although play is important, just have fun, carve out time to have fun. You've got to, take care of yourself. When it comes to exercise, and this is, I think, a really important topic with, the current trends in exercise and kind of these extreme, forms of exercise that people are doing right now, that can trigger a lot of cortisol release.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're dealing with an HPA axis dysregulation, I strongly recommend that you not do these more extreme forms of exercise for a period of time, because you're just going to be triggering the release of more cortisol, and that's going to work against you. So I recommend moderate exercise.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know I was challenged with sleep deprivation for probably 10 years. And I know that, I mean, I'm not an extreme exerciser by any stretch of the imagination, but as soon as I took up yoga, yoga influenced my sleep in a positive way, in a way that I wasn't expecting. And then once you have your sort of sleep taken care of, it just feels like this pyramid or building blocks, right? Then you feel like having sex, or you feel like, going for that jog, right? It just keeps on.
Oh, absolutely. Sleep is so important, because that is also sleep deprivation is one of the triggers of this HPA axis, dysregulation. So sleep is super important. Proper nutrition is obviously very important. Avoiding processed foods, trying to eat whole foods as much as possible. You're going to want to make sure your B vitamins, you have those. Vitamin C, magnesium is super important. Your minerals are really important, especially magnesium. Most people in North America are deficient in magnesium, and it's because our soil is so depleted. So it's very important to supplement. There are some herbs that can help, some adaptogen herbs that can help, like ashwagandha, that you can try, and those will also help with sleep. I know that helps me with sleep.
Right.
That could be contraindicated if you have a nightshade allergy or are autoimmune, but otherwise it really does help a lot of women. So that's something else that you can do to kind of help regulate those hormones.
Cool. Well, I think you already know our hashtag is cracking open the conversation. How important is it to have this conversation with your doctor, your GP, or your healthcare practitioner?
I
Um,
th- I think it's extremely important, but and one thing you have to know is that there's a lot of Western medicine doctors who don't really believe in this. Okay.
I know. I had a doctor tell me there's no such thing as adrenal fatigue, and boom, I was right in the middle of it. So,
Yeah, it really is. You can have your one way you can test. There's not one particular test that you can say, okay, we're going to take this blood and this is going to tell us that you have, adrenal fatigue. There's a lot of different hormone tests that can give you an indication that that's probably the case. One is testing your cortisol, at different times of the day.
right.
Um, because most people who have this, their cortisol is off. But, here's the thing. Most women in our current society who are working, taking care of children and have all these things on their plate, chances are probably pretty good that if your adrenals are not completely worn out, they're probably on the way to it. So
Yeah.
it's really important to start taking care of yourself now before you hit, 50 and you start going through full-blown menopause.
Yeah, I think you just probably answered my final question, which is, what can we do to optimize our adrenal health? So if you had a message to send to all women, um, as they navigate this journey and as they are listening to this interview and wanting to be empowered, maybe wanting to be one step ahead of their midlife health, what would you like to tell every woman out there listening today?
Take care of yourself. Okay, you've spent probably most of your life up until this point taking care of others, and now it's time for you. And if you want to, here, midlife should be the best time of your life,
It
right?
is, yeah.
If you're in good health, you're still young, but you don't have all those insecurities of youth, you've got wisdom and knowledge, this should be the best time. And if you want to be healthy and enjoy it, take care of yourself now. Take that little bit of time for yourself. You're entitled to it. And because you can't serve others if you're empty, right? So you're not going to be any good to anybody if you wear yourself out. So take that time for yourself and take care of yourself now.
So true. Thank you. It's time to put our own name at the top of our to-do list.
Absolutely.
I think that's what you're saying. Kathy, tell us how we can get a hold of you.
The best way to get a hold of me is through my website. So it's mccannutrition.com. I think there'll be a
Yeah,
link
we'll
to
put that up
that.
here for you.
How I like to work with people is scheduling a free strategy call. I wouldn't ever expect anybody to sign up to work with me if they hadn't talked to me first and we hadn't, seen how we work together and how the personalities click. Because I do combine nutrition therapy with life coaching, because I find that most women at this age of the game kind of need both, because there's a lot going on.
That's a
And
really great idea, actually. Yeah, I
yeah,
just want to say that.
thank you. There's just usually a lot of things going on. You might be facing an empty nest, or a change in your marital status, or a change in your career status, and all of those things are tied together because stress and everything else is
And
all
it's
related.
that, sorry, but it's that chicken and egg question that's sometimes it's really hard for us in the busyness of everything to figure out. Am I stressed because of my aging parents, or is it my aging parents that's causing the stress? And insert whatever divorce, boss, kids, whatever you want to insert into that line. But it's difficult and challenging us for us to stop and get still and even know the answer to that question. And that's why I love that you've combined the coaching.
No, thank you. Yes, absolutely. It's really true. And sometimes, sometimes just somebody else can maybe ask you some questions that kind of give you that little bit of insight that you need to, to figure out what's going on, what you really want. I mean, we really change as we get older. Women become a little bit more, right brained, and we get a little bit more creative and,
Yeah, true.
and, a little bit more woo, I like to call it. And so it's a time for change and renewal. And sometimes we need to find a new path for us. So if you go to my website, you can book a free strategy call and talk to me and find out, what's possible. And I'd love to talk to anybody that would like to book an appointment.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for helping us get more information about how to take care of our adrenal health today. We would love to hear about your journey and what you've learned and how you've managed to take care of your adrenals. So please comment below, subscribe to this channel. And Cathy, thank you very much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.